Solitude is often misunderstood as loneliness, but in truth, it is the beginning of awakening. When a man withdraws from the noise of the world, he starts to hear the quiet rhythm of his own being. The silence that once felt empty begins to speak, not in words, but in understanding. In solitude, the mind no longer seeks approval or attention. It begins to rest, to observe, to simply be. It is in this stillness that one realizes how much of life was spent performing, reacting, and chasing illusions. Solitude strips away the masks we wear for others and forces us to meet ourselves as we truly are, unpolished, uncertain, yet profoundly real. This confrontation can be uncomfortable because it exposes truths we've long avoided. But it is through that discomfort that growth begins. Solitude becomes the sacred ground where transformation takes place. It is where clarity blooms, where one learns to listen to intuition rather than noise. When the world fades into the background, a deeper sense of purpose begins to emerge. And slowly, solitude ceases to be a burden. It becomes a sanctuary, a reminder that everything one seeks outside already exists within. The moment a man begins to awaken, he feels the quiet distance forming between himself and the world. The conversations that once excited him now feel shallow, and the pursuits that once seemed important begin to lose their charm. This separation is not born from pride, but from awareness. He sees that much of society runs on imitation. People chasing approval, living lives shaped by expectation rather than truth. The chosen man cannot stay asleep within that illusion. He recognizes that following the crowd means abandoning the self, and so he steps away, not to reject others, but to rediscover what is real. In walking apart, he gains clarity about what truly matters. The noise of the world fades, revealing the still voice of wisdom within. Though his path may appear lonely, it carries a freedom unknown to those bound by comparison. He no longer measures his worth by others' opinions or desires. He finds meaning in authenticity rather than acceptance. To walk alone is not to separate from humanity, but to rise above its unconscious patterns. It is an act of quiet rebellion, a return to one's own rhythm, one's own truth, one's own sacred direction. When a man finally chooses solitude, he steps into a space where no distractions can protect him from himself. In that silence, the masks fall away, and he is left to face what he has long ignored, the unfiltered truth of who he is, without the noise of society telling him who to be. He begins to see the shadows within the fears, insecurities, and forgotten dreams buried beneath years of conditioning. It is not an easy meeting. The mind resists, seeking escape in memories or fantasies, but solitude leaves no refuge. It holds up a mirror that reflects everything, both the darkness and the light. Through this confrontation, something extraordinary happens. He begins to accept himself not as the world expects him to be, but as he truly is. The constant need to prove or defend fades, replaced by quiet understanding. Solitude becomes a teacher of honesty, showing that inner peace is not achieved through perfection, but through self-awareness. The man learns that the journey inward is the only path to genuine freedom. In knowing himself deeply, he no longer fears the judgments of others, for he has already faced the one voice that matters, his own. To walk one's own path that requires of courage that few understand. It means standing firm in your truth, even when the world calls you foolish, stubborn, or lost. The chosen man knows that authenticity often demands isolation, for truth rarely travels in crowds. Each step he takes away from conformity tests his strength, but it also strengthens his spirit. He realizes that the approval he once sought would only chain him to mediocrity. The more he listens to his inner voice, the clearer his direction becomes, even if no one else can see where it leads. There are moments of doubt, moments when the silence feels heavy, yet even in that stillness, there is a quiet assurance that he is moving toward something real. To follow one's own path is to accept uncertainty as a companion and faith as a guide. It is to live by inner conviction rather than external validation. The chosen man understands that truth often isolates before it illuminates. And though he may walk alone, he carries within him a light that no crowd can offer. A light born of integrity, resilience, and the unwavering decision to remain true to himself, no matter the cost. As a man walks deeper into solitude, something profound begins to unfold. What once felt like isolation slowly transforms into connection. In the quiet, he starts to sense the pulse of life moving through everything. The wind, the trees, the stars, and even the stillness between thoughts. The boundaries that once separated him from the world begin to blur, revealing that he was never truly apart from it. The loneliness dissolves into a realization of unity, where every breath and every heartbeat are shared with the whole of existence. He begins to understand that the self he has been protecting and defining is only a wave in a vast ocean of being. This awareness brings peace, for he no longer feels the need to fight, control, or prove anything. The struggle to belong fades, replaced by the knowing that he already does. In that realization, walking alone becomes a sacred act of remembering. The world within and the world around merge into one seamless flow. What seemed like solitude was, in truth, the path back to oneness, a quiet awakening to the simple fact that he was never walking alone at all, for life itself was walking with him.